Admiral Zexal adjusted his ceremonial sash for what felt like the 100th time. The lights above were too bright, casting an almost unnatural glow across the sprawling Galaxy Games arena. He had never seen anything like it before, not even in his extensive diplomatic travels across the stars. Every corner of the vast, chaotic space seemed alive with color, sound, and movement. The noise, endless, overwhelming, was almost unbearable to his sensitive antennae, and yet he stayed. The constant hum of human chatter mixed with the electronic sounds of digital games, combined with the occasional bursts of laughter or cries of excitement, tested the limits of his patience. The arena was a sensory assault, a far cry from the ordered, disciplined environments he was used to. His species valued structure, control, and above all, calm. And yet, something about this chaotic, bustling space drew him deeper into its heart. This was where he was supposed to be. The mission was simple enough: evaluate humanity's readiness for interstellar cooperation. But Zexal knew that to truly understand a species, one had to dive into its deepest, most confusing aspects. That meant confronting their entertainment, their distractions, and their emotional impulses, even if they felt frivolous and confusing. His towering, sleek form cut through the crowd, every step an effort to remain composed amidst the madness. Humans of all shapes and sizes bustled about him, their eyes fixed on the bright holographic displays or on each other. Many glanced at him curiously, whispering among themselves, but he paid little attention. He was a figure far too foreign for them to understand in that moment. His long antennae twitched, and he adjusted his posture to take in the sprawling sight before him. The lights, the sounds, everything about the Galaxy Games arena was a far cry from the polished, calculated diplomacy he had grown used to. This was not a place for calm, methodical discussions or careful planning. This was a place where the human spirit ran wild. And yet, Zexal felt a tug, an unexplained pull, that led him to continue his journey into the depths of the arena. As he navigated the maze of humans, he began to notice something that piqued his interest. A cluster of young humans gathered around one of the many gaming stations. The energy surrounding them was palpable, but it wasn't the mindless energy of children lost in distraction. No, this was something different. Sharp, disciplined, focused. There was a purpose in their movements. He leaned in, intrigued, wondering what this group of children could teach him about humanity's true nature. Among them stood a young girl, around 12 human cycles, her dark hair tied back in a simple but effective style. Her attention was fully immersed in the holographic display in front of her. Zexal's eyes narrowed as he observed her every move. The game she played was clearly one of space combat, a simulation of military tactics and skill. Yet there was something captivating about how she controlled the ship, a precision that seemed far beyond her apparent age. Warning: hostile craft detected in Sector 7. A mechanical voice cut through the air, sharp and professional, as though it belonged on a military vessel. Zexal's antennae flicked in curiosity. The girl's fingers moved with remarkable speed and precision, her hands dancing across the controls. The spaceship on the screen executed a perfect tactical rotation while maintaining its trajectory, dodging incoming fire with a fluidity that reminded Zexal of the best pilots in the Concordat. "Sarah's going for the record again," one of the children whispered nearby. "She always gets past the nebula curl sequence." Zexal's interest deepened. The nebula curl sequence was known for its difficulty, a maneuver that required advanced understanding of stellar dynamics. On the screen, Sarah's ship entered the swirling nebula, a dazzling cloud of gases and electromagnetic fields. Without hesitation, she guided the ship into a spiral that used the nebula's fields to cloak her engine signature. Zexal's antennae stiffened. This was a maneuver he had employed during a classified military campaign. It was far beyond the capabilities of most humans, let alone children. The simulation continued, with Sarah venting plasma in a controlled burst to temporarily illuminate her pursuers, only to take advantage of the brief moment of vulnerability. The skill with which she executed the move was breathtaking, and Zexal's inner membranes quivered in awe. The enemy vessels were overwhelmed by the precision of her attack. "Level complete," the computer voice announced. Cool and emotionless, new high score achieved. Tactical rating, superior. The surrounding children erupted in cheers, their voices rising in excitement. But Sarah remained calm, her gaze already fixed on the next challenge. She was not interested in celebration. She was already looking ahead, as if the next challenge awaited her, demanding her full attention. Zexal found himself unable to look away. The game's interface was primitive compared to the Concordat's advanced technology, but the underlying principles were sophisticated, far more sophisticated than he had anticipated. And there, in front of him, was a young human girl, showing him just how much potential humanity had for understanding the complexities of space, technology, and warfare. "Would you like to try, sir?" Sarah asked, her voice cheerful and casual as she turned to look at him. "This level has some really cool gravitational mechanics." For a moment, Zexal's translator struggled to process her words. A high-ranking officer in an advanced interstellar civilization being asked to play a game meant for children? The thought was absurd. Yet, there was something in her tone that suggested she truly believed it was a natural request. He had to admit to himself that he was intrigued. Something about Sarah's composure and the way she treated the game made him reconsider his initial judgment. "Perhaps I will," he said cautiously, his antennae angling forward. "But first, explain how you knew to use the nebula's electromagnetic fields like that." Sarah's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "Oh, that's just basic stellar phenomena manipulation. Want me to show you some advanced techniques?" Zexal's inner membranes tightened. Basic? He thought. The maneuver she had executed was anything but basic. Yet he found himself compelled to learn more. He watched as she demonstrated the techniques with ease, explaining how everything in space, from gravity to electromagnetic fields, was interconnected. Her understanding of the universe was extraordinary, and the way she conveyed it felt entirely natural, as though it were second nature to her. "The key," she said matter-of-factly, "is understanding that everything in space is interconnected. You have to think of it like a web. It's not just one thing at a time." She rerouted power from her shields to the sensors, showing him how energy redistribution could affect the entire system. Zexal's neural augments recorded every detail, and he marveled at the complexity of the strategies she was explaining. This was no game. This was an educational tool. The simulation she was guiding him through wasn't just a pastime. It was a form of military training, disguised as entertainment. Zexal's mind raced as he considered the implications. Humans were not just learning how to play. They were learning how to think strategically, how to approach problems and solve them with precision and innovation, and they were doing this for fun. He continued to watch as Sarah loaded a new mission, an escort scenario where she had to protect a civilian transport through contested space. The tactics she employed were innovative, using the mass of the transport to create a gravitational microlens that enhanced her ship's sensors while masking her own ship's signature. Zexal's antennae twitched. This was an advanced tactic, one that even the most seasoned Concordat officers struggled to master. "Space isn't flat like an ocean," Sarah said, her tone matter-of-fact. "You can use everything around you." Zexal could hardly suppress the shudder that ran down his spine. He had seen tactical genius in battle, but the way she approached each situation, combining textbook maneuvers with bold, innovative ideas, was extraordinary. Her ability to think in multidimensional ways, to see beyond the obvious, was beyond his expectations. As the mission concluded, Zexal turned to Sarah, his voice betraying his astonishment. "How did you learn all this?" She shrugged nonchalantly. "Just playing, mostly. The physics engine in this version is super realistic. They worked with real space pilots to make it accurate." Realistic. Zexal's neural augments flagged the word for further analysis. The game's mechanics were not just realistic, they were far beyond anything he had anticipated. They were sophisticated enough to train military officers, and yet they were being given to children as entertainment. Zexal realized that what he had dismissed as a simple game was, in fact, an extraordinary tool for training and development. "Would you like to try a multiplayer scenario?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with excitement. "There's one where you have to collapse a protostar to create a hyperspace shortcut." Zexal felt his ceremonial sash tighten uncomfortably. The idea of collapsing a protostar was a concept that was still in theoretical research within the Concordat scientific division. But Sarah spoke of it with such ease, as if it were nothing more than another challenge in a game. "Perhaps you could show me how," Zexel replied, his voice betraying his astonishment. As Sarah deftly manipulated the controls, guiding him through the process of collapsing the protostar, Zexel realized something profound. Humanity had not just created games for diversion. They had forged tools for exploration, innovation, and learning, cleverly disguised as entertainment. Children across the galaxy were mastering concepts that his own people considered cutting-edge technology, and they were doing it for fun. When Zexel later sat aboard his flagship, reviewing his findings, he made a decision. His report to the Concordat High Command would not be a warning, but an opportunity. "The humans have not created warriors," he wrote. "They have created explorers, scientists, and innovators who see the universe as their playground. And that makes them the most valuable allies we could ever hope to find."